I'm in Salad, and I saw Lisa Frankenstein. It is directed by Zelda Williams, written by Diablo Cody, and with me today, I have an expert.
Hi!
Very expert. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I am the Ashton Blaise. I am on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc., etc. And I guess I am a huge Lisa Frankenstein enthusiast.
What was your first exposure
to Lisa Frankenstein when I walked into the theater? And actually, that's not true. I saw the trailer for Lisa Frankenstein, and nobody had been really talking about it. And the reason I was so intrigued is because the song is by When in Rome. It's The Promise, which is my favorite song ever written. I love the 80s. I'm obviously a huge horror enthusiast. I love horror, all things science fiction, and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is actually one of my favorite books ever written.
Ooh.
And so I was like, oh, I guess I'll check out this 80s, version. You know, it was a completely different idea than I thought it was gonna be. A lot of people said, oh, it's gonna be like a, Edward Scissorhands type thing, which is not really true. Not really. I keep hearing that, and it's not like Edward Scissorhands at all. I would say that Cole Sprouse's performance as the creature is very similar to Johnny Depp's performance as Edward, but it's definitely different movies.
That's a good observation.
Very similar, definitely similar, acting, I think, but definitely not the same story in no way. There's definitely Tim Burton elements to this movie, but I absolutely love this movie. I think I've seen it at least 80 times since it first came out. I love the aesthetic, nice. I love the acting, the cinematography, the costume design is amazing. I'm very particular when it comes to movies and shows that take place in the 80s because the costuming is always off. It's always just everyone in Lycra, but in this movie, they really play true to 1989, and late 80s is very different than mid 80s and early 80s.
I wouldn't know. I was not born then.
I wasn't born yet either, but I just have such a love for 80s culture. So I really think that this movie was an easy 10 out of 10 for me, and I rarely say that for movies.
We haven't even got to the rating system yet. You already revealed your rating. We haven't even started with the review.
It's such a good movie. I'll explain why.
All right, let's start with the review. All right,
okay.
So we're in 1989. We're following this chick named Lisa Swallows. What an unfortunate last name. Imagine all the puns based off of her last name.
I'm surprised that they really didn't play into people bullying her more into that. They were so focused on bullying her for her dead mom, which I'm like, this is such a terrible thing to bully someone for.
Why would you bully somebody for, oh, wow, your parents gone? I can't
you
control
watch your mom
that.
get hacked up into a million pieces. But they ignore the fact that her last name is Swallows so many times. I think
it's because she's not really a slut type at the very beginning of the movie, which is why it's not as obvious.
I don't think she's even a slut type at all throughout the whole movie. I mean, she's very much the virgin-esque character that she is. I mean, she goes through a whole goth phase. But as
she
an audience
really
member,
builds herself up throughout the movie. She keeps taking clothes from her. Is stepsister. Yeah. So she takes clothes from her stepsister, who is part of the cheerleading squad. Is that right? Mm-hmm. I think so. Yeah. I think her name is Tiffany. So she...
No, it's Taffeta.
Taffeta? Oh.
Yeah, because she
started with a T.
Laffy Taffy. It starts with a T. But the thing is, it's definitely it's funny because it's definitely the name that her mom would name her, given the house they live in. The 80s pastel colors. I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves though.
Yes,
so
we are.
With Lisa.
So we're following Lisa. Her mom was axe murdered 2 years prior, and she's still moping and grieving. And what's interesting...
She's definitely dissociating, I would say. She's trying not to be social. She's trying not to really, be involved in anything. And by the way, I love the dynamic between her and her stepsister, because her stepsister is not an evil stepsister. She's actively trying to include Lisa, get her friends to like her. She's actually a really nice cheerleader character, which we often don't see in these type of movies. We often see the cheerleader type as the bully. And I really like that Taffeta was a genuinely nice character. Trying to do good, not a fake character at all.
What's interesting about her character is it's completely opposite of the stepmother. And also, her dad remarries to
very quickly.
lady.
And your wife just got axe murdered, and the whole movie I am waiting to find out that that Janet had something to do with the axe murdering. I'm trying to find out that I'm waiting to find out that the dad cheated on Lisa's mom, which, I know we're doing spoilers anyway, that ends up not being the case at all.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm kind of glad they didn't do that, because that would have been so predictable. Because the whole time
That's
I'm
true.
oh man, they're gonna reveal that Janet killed Lisa's mom, or her dad was cheating on her mom with Janet, which honestly ended up not being the case, which I'm very thankful for.
This movie is definitely not predictable. I was like, okay, this is gonna go in this direction, and then it didn't at all. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool.
I thought, from this trailer, she was gonna be obsessed with, the corpse the entire time, but she wasn't. She's obsessing over some literary magazine writer, some, artsy-fartsy guy, since the very beginning of the movie.
And frickin' Taffy brings her to this party where she meets the guy, within the first 10 minutes. And I'm like,
she gets drugged.
I'm like, what drug does she have?
What?
I'm like, what drug is... I'm like, what drug did you give her that's clear that produces those effects?
Yeah. So, this guy's, friend, who I think, honestly, was trying to have sex with him, had a crush on him. This guy is just... All the girls want this man for some reason. He is a teenage boy, but he looks like 35.
He looks like a Cole Sprouse. I think that's what it is. He kind of looks like Cole Sprouse.
He does kind of look like, do kind of look alike, except one's dead. Anyway, his friend gives her a drink with something laced in it. She gets super messed up. She starts, seeing things. She's she can't move. Taffy comes out of the woodwork and is screaming at this guy, blaming him for being on something. I mean, then she just disappears. She disappears into the party.
Doug, man. Freaking Doug helps her up.
And then her I think it's her science partner shows up. And
that's Doug.
Yeah, Doug shows up, and then he's like, oh, let me help you, and he's helping her throw open a toilet, and then, of course, he assaults her, or tries to,
hold on. That's let's slow things down. First, she throws up. He does the nice, helpful thing of holding her hair, which is a lot of hair, and then...
a lot of hairspray, which he comments on.
Yeah, and then, they're on a bed, and Doug's like, I'm just gonna, sit here and touch your boob. Right? That's it. That's all he does. And he's like...
oh, yeah, then he takes her hand... Well, no, he takes her hand and throws it, basically presses it on his, crotch.
Yeah,
which, some people argue is not assault, but, it's
It is
a little,
because it's not consensual, and also, she's like, no! And Doug, terrible person, is like,
you gotta finish what you started, Lisa.
You can't just lead people on. And she never gave any signs that she wanted to have sex with you. You were just preying on her because she was drugged.
Yeah.
So,
she
Doug's not a good
runs
guy.
off. She's clearly sober enough. She's not sober at all. Honestly, she's not sober at all, but she's, self-aware enough to get the heck out of there. She walks off into the forest while she's tripping, and then she somehow gets back home and then breaks the mirror of her bathroom, which is never explained. I never understood, you tripped
Why
so
did she
hard.
do that?
I think, honestly, maybe she was tripping so hard, she saw her reflection in the bathroom, freaked out, and threw something at it, and thought it was someone in the bathroom with her.
I really thought, I interpreted that scene as that she was frustrated that... she was very frustrated at the attempt of a sex by Doug, and then was drugged, and she's never experienced drugs before, so she's and
then was ignored by the guy she's actually into, and then
of course she wakes up with the stepmother being like, Lisa,
you gotta fix the mirror, Lisa, and she's super angry. I will say, it's an understandable thing for a parent to be upset about. But what gets me is that I love the fact that her name's Janet, because the amount of jokes from Rocky Horror Picture Show in this movie, the fact that her name is Janet is so funny to me. But Janet is just it's not that she's mad at Lisa for obvious things that a parent would be mad about. It's the fact that she's like, I'm an FMF, or like it's an FP. I'm a very intuitive person, and I'm an angel, and I'm a nurse, and I take care of people.
Shut up to the screen at that point. And also, what's hilarious is the dad is not doing anything.
Oh no, the dad is so far gone. He's just sitting there eating like his pistachios or like his whatever cereal in the morning. He's always eating. The dad's always eating some like food, and he's just like not paying attention, watching the TV, reading the newspaper, which I think is
it's
really
his way
nice
of mourning. Yeah,
maybe it's his way of mourning, but also a part of me wonders if the dad was even involved when the mom was killed at all, because like there are just some. I feel like where was the dad when like the mom was axe murdered?
You know what?
What was
that's
going
true.
on?
That did not get explained. It's like, oh, your mom got axe murdered. By who and why?
That maybe he was having an affair. I don't think he was. But he was definitely just... The whole point of the dad character was to be just not there, like, mentally. Because throughout the whole movie, he's just like, oh, yeah, ha, 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 Lisa. Oh, you kids, ha, ha. Even the end of the movie, we're not going to get to that yet, but the end of the movie, he's just not there. Like, we'll get explaining later, but the dad's just far gone. Wait,
hold on. Let's go back to the mirroring, because something else happens concurrent to the mirror thing that I thought was really good. The lightning happened right at the shatter. So she's like, oh, I wish that you were, I was there with you. Cole Sprouse's grave.
She's
guy's
like wishing
grave.
she was dead.
Yeah.
But makes you wonder, do all the corpses hear what we have to say while they're dead?
That's scary.
Do you think there's a scene? Oh god, I can't get into later because we're doing the whole thing in order. But like, it really makes you think. Like, do the corpses hear us when you go to graveyards? Like, that's so
maybe.
That's so like, oh, like they're still there, but they just can't move. Like, that's so.
Except for if they get struck by lightning and then he becomes a zombie and then he just like starts walking around. What's funny though is the idea that he walks from the cemetery to the house, even though it's like in the woods-ish, there's still some civilization that you kind of have to go through.
Well, that's their point too, is that like when they all go out to the movie, Lisa insists on staying behind because she clearly isn't included in this family. Like the mom is trying to actively get rid of her there. So like when she goes to work, she works at like I guess a tailor or like a dry cleaning business, and like the guy that she likes comes in with the girl because he spilled fruit punch on his jacket, and it's clearly alcohol of some sort. And so Lisa's there, she's sewing, she looks like a dork because she's got these funny sewing goggles. Funny enough, I have the exact same goggles that they use in that movie that she used for when I sew. and like the guy, and her boss just comes up and he goes, yeah, I can always count on Lisa to work on Saturdays because she has no friends. I think she can't get a date because she has no boobs. And it's just like, why would you say this?
Dude, this is some serious sexual harassment, but also it goes to show Lisa's character to not fight against that. It shows her character not to fight against that, too.
Yeah, like she's definitely
shows her passivity.
Timid, doesn't fight. She goes home after a long day of work, and she's clearly, I guess, vegetarian because they make a comment about that, and they only
She
order
is
meat
making
pizza.
a lot of efforts to exclude herself from the family, though. She's going to the cemetery, she eats vegetarian while everyone else eats food.
Well, the thing is, I think she was always vegetarian, but it's the stepmom who's making her not feel welcome, because she's like, oh yeah, Taffeta, she works all day, you know, as a cheerleader at cheer practice. You know, she's so good at the splits because she does that exercise where she has her legs against the wall screaming, and it's like, does this lady not realize her daughter is, like, just having sex? Like, you know, like, it was a clear, like, joke that the mom, like, thinks her daughter is so pure and perfect.
What's hilarious about this depiction of Janet is she reminds me exactly of my adopted mom. Like, she would, the exact same way, you know, including say like, oh, your older sister, she's so perfect. She gets straight A's and she gets fashion and she's doing girl stuff. You sit in your room all day and draw, right? And like she clearly favored the older one and would constantly compare me to her. So I saw that, I was like, wow, I relate to this.
Taffeta's drinking, she's going to parties, and the mom is just unaware because she thinks Taffeta is so perfect. And by the way, Taffeta's again, I'll stand by the fact that Taffeta is a nice character. Taffeta does nothing wrong in this movie, but the mom is a bitch. Like, she's just like,
sucks.
And she purposely only orders an all-meat pizza because she has a coupon for a free Orange Crush, knowing that Lisa's a vegetarian. They
put all the meat on one slice. I'm like, did you guys just remove all the meat from all the other slices and put it on this one slice intentionally?
Just so she can't eat pizza. And they all go to the movies together. Lisa's sitting at home, like, chilling. And, like, it's just so sad because this stepmom is actively trying to get rid of Lisa. And, her daughter is, like, being told to call her dad by dad. And Lisa's kind of uncomfortable because I'm sure they got married super quick after her mom's death.
Yeah, definitely.
The stepmom is pushing her away. Lisa's, like, feeling super isolated at school. Like, it's a really hard time for her. And poor Lisa's just not fighting back. She's kind of just sitting there like, well, I guess this is my life now. It freaking sucks. Also, the mom is, like, stepmom is actively accusing her of being, like, mentally unstable for stuff that she doesn't even do wrong.
I don't understand that. I feel like it's a big projection on the stepmother's side. Like, she just hates Lisa so much that she's going to say anything, including like projections.
We're gonna get into it later. There are things that Lisa does that also make me think
are pretty insane.
Maybe the stepmom's not completely in the wrong. She mentions, like, Lisa has broken a few things. She does shatter the mirror, which is unexplained. So maybe there's something there the stepmom sees that no one else does. Because again, the dad is just, he's just not involved with anything. So he's not paying attention. True. Taffy's trying so hard to be nice. Maybe she's just ignoring red flags. Maybe the mom who works in a mental hospital is like, yo, like, this is bad behavior. Like, this is trauma. Like, this is something that needs to be looked on. As much as I hate Janet as a character, and she is a bitch pushing Lisa away, maybe maybe she's not completely in the wrong. We'll get into that.
That's true. This movie is only really from seeing what Lisa goes through, not like the whole story. So speaking of Lisa's at home, and then she hears a shatter. Uh-oh, there's a burglar. He's going to burgle my house. And she goes downstairs, and then there's this walking corpse thing that smells disgusting that she throws her stepmother's china.
little porcelain dolls your grandma collects. She's like, throwing things.
My adopted mom also has that. Is this a trait of bitches?
Collecting porcelain. I mean, I have lots of knickknacks, but like the pastel,
porcelain.
like, what is this? Like, you know what I'm talking? Oh gosh, you know what I'm talking about? It's like the little, like, babies, the little porcelain baby figurines.
Yeah, those are weird. I've, like, grown up in a house with all of those around. I'm like, why do you have these? These look so fragile. These are just gonna break
they just
so
look
easily.
Weird. It's like, why do you have fragile baby statues around your house?
Yeah, that's so weird.
Odd. So strange.
What's funny is that eventually I don't know how they communicate. They communicate through a series of grunts, but it makes me wonder if this is some sort of like Ash Ketchum Pikachu situation where she intuitively knows what he says.
He starts playing the song from the dream sequence. We didn't talk about the dream sequence that she has, the trippy dream sequence that she has.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, but it's the same song it was Galaxy 500, I believe. And it's the same song he's, like, listening to. And she goes, oh, do you like this song? That's why she stops calling 911. It's just because he likes the same music as her.
And she's like, whoa, you're a man. Oh, my goodness, let's clean you up. Let's take you to the shower. Let's grab clothes from my closet that has, like, baseball jerseys in it.
Why does she have so many man clothes in her closet?
That was my question, too. Why does she have so many man clothes?
Well, I think it's funny,
cross-dressing?
When she starts the shower, she goes, yeah, this is this is the station that only beer sluts listen to, like beer sluts like Taffeta listen to, but I listen to this station because I actually have feelings. And like, this is what gets me, is like, she's so mean about her stepsister.
Who is so nice to her.
I know. She just wants to assume that Taffeta is, like, mean because she doesn't like the stepmom. And she just continues to, like, it's, like, the epitome of, I'm not like other girls. I'm not like the girls who listen to this radio station and go to parties and are in cheerleading teams. And, like, as much as I love Lisa as a character, it is kind of annoying to hear her go, I'm not like these other girls.
I'm like, that's what other girls say.
And like silent movies. It's like, oh god, it's so...
Yeah,
okay.
What's funny is that she has to hide this guy from like her parents. And so she hides them in the closet. And I'm like, dang, that's so uncomfortable. But also, that closet, just barely big enough to hold him.
I know.
Also, there's a scene I remember where she goes upstairs and she leaves the door open, her bedroom door open, to open the closet door. So I'm like, why would you do that? And then guess what? Somebody walks in. Taffy walks in right after that. I'm like, wow.
No, and he's right there, and like, it's like she doesn't see him. But what really the next day is like she's getting ready for school, and like he insists that she wears a dress that Taffeta gave her. So clearly Taffeta has good taste. Taffeta,
and she looks
nice stuff.
Banging in that dress. Like, wow. I'm like, it's really transformed. Yeah. And so like she's getting
high and low on the internet for that dress that looks like that. It looks so good.
Yeah, I want that dress too. So like she's rocking new style. All the guys are looking at her. They're like, "Ooh, who is this chick?" Right? It's all fun.
She went from wearing mom jeans and like oversized sweaters to goth, and suddenly everybody wants her. Because it's 1989 and goth is cool now.
Oh yeah, it's fun. What's also fun is that I like seeing Janet come home from the creature. Oh, did he have a name? Do you ever have a name? No,
he's just the creature. It's just like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It's just the creature. Because Frankenstein isn't Franken. So Frankenstein is the doctor, not the monster. Yeah. The monster is never given a real name, and I think if they wanted to stick to that trend, with just having no name for him.
Okay,
which is
that
stupid
makes
because
sense.
He has a gravestone. He would have a name on his gravestone. Like, we would know his name.
And she even did the thing with the paper where she like drew over the gravestone to have like some sort of mark.
What happened was she didn't get the full name, and so like the name is just unknown, and because he can't talk, we never actually learn his name. But couldn't he just write his name?
That's true. He could. I don't think in the early stages of him coming to the house, he has the ability to do any fine movement.
But later on, he will, and he doesn't still, which we'll get into. He's missing an ear, and he's missing a hand.
Yes.
And another appendage that's very important.
Yes.
Which we'll get into.
So Janet is like, you broke my porcelain dolls. You're going to pay for this. You're going to suffer. You know?
And then, you know, she's, I think she's at like the gym or something, and she's like, or no, she's doing aerobics at home, and then she yells at this guy who comes by. He's like, hey man, we're selling carpet cleaning. And she's like, how dare you? You can eat off my carpets. I'm so clean and neurotic. How dare you assume that I'm not neurotic enough, which I clearly am, which has been stated throughout this entire movie that I'm very neurotic.
What's hilarious is she goes up to Lisa and is like, you need to be put in an asylum. And it's like right in front of the closet.
Because the creature spits in her food. He puts like a snail or something or a worm in her food.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she eats it and she blames Lisa, thinking Lisa did it. So she's like, I'm gonna put you in an asylum. You're gonna be thrown away forever. And Lisa's like, oh no! The creature comes up behind with a sewing machine and smacks her on the head.
It's like, oh, you guys, no, he just murdered her. So
she's dead. And
then he takes the ear off of her.
Yeah, he cuts off her ear with an earring, and
And then Lisa sews the ear onto
like,
him.
Well, she's like, no, I can't. We have to get rid of the body first. Which is like, so like, there's a dead body in front of you. You're like, your stepmom was a bitch, but she just got murdered in front of you. And the first thing you think is, oh, let's just hide the body and then I'll sew the ear on. Like, that kind of tells me, what if the stepmom kind of was right? Because, like, the whole rumor at her school is, oh, she killed her mom. Like, she was the axe murderer because they never caught the guy and she watched it happen. And it makes me wonder, like, did Lisa do it? Because she's super chill about this dead body just sitting in her room.
Yeah, so chill. So she is successful in getting rid of the body.
Well, they bury it. And even she says, like, oh, is it peaceful down there? And he goes, no. And she goes, good. Which basically tells me, like, yeah, like, they're awake, I guess, when they're dead. Which is
or maybe experiencing hell, or I don't know. Honestly.
It's really weird to think about, but
I'm like,
she sews his ear back on.
And then they, it was established early on that there's a tanning bed.
Yes!
Whose tanning bed is it?
It was the very beginning when, I guess her stepsister was like, I won this tanning bed in a pageant, because of course Taffeta does pageants as well.
Yeah.
And so she lets Lisa use it, and the tanning bed is obviously terrible because it shocks whoever goes in it. So...
Perfect electricity machine.
Perfect.
Put them in there.
Who needs a store when there's a perfect just machine sitting in your garage, you know?
Exactly.
Or this random shed in the backyard.
So they take him to this what did I just call it? I'm blanking on the name.
Shed. A tanning bed?
Tanning bed. Yes. They go to the shed with the tanning bed.
Because his ear doesn't work, it's just sewn on. They have to, like, electrocute him to get his ear to work, and it works.
It's like, oh, wow. What else? You got some missing body parts. Let's find some more let's find some more body parts to take from people. And it's like, oh my goodness, this is insane.
So Lisa goes up to the Doug, who we witnessed sexually assault her early on, or I guess come on a little too strong while she was drugged. And she's like, I actually want you, Doug. And of course she's like, wearing this...
Yes! He's like,
and of
yes!
course she's wearing another outfit that she stole from her stepsister.
This seems to be a common theme throughout the rest of the movie, as she steals outfits.
Casually, the more she kills, the more she steals her stepsister's clothes, and the more,
it goes to show her morality. Yeah, like, she's more willing to steal. Her morality is just kind of diminishing ever since that first night. She didn't even kill the first person. So, like, just being witness, but just ruined her.
Witnessing that and casually getting rid of the body. So they get Doug. She's like, hi, Doug. I want you to, he's like, oh, do you want to hold my hand? And she goes, oh, I'll be holding your hand real soon. And of course, they cut off his hand with an axe, and then he gets
right when
killed.
He's alive.
I know.
I'm like, dude, you had to torture this man. Oh my goodness, how much do you hate him? Wow, you couldn't even like kill him first before taking his hand.
And they dump him in the same hole, I think, because they don't even bury the body, the first body. I think they just dump her in a hole. And so
nobody goes out to that cemetery ever, I guess.
Well, yeah, no, because they even say that, like, nobody ever goes there because it's cursed or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, he was like, I'm freaking out. It's cursed. Like, when he was, like, entering the...
It's not very Christian. And she goes, well, I'm not very Christian. And they cut off his hand and throw him in this pit after they kill him.
Groping a drugged woman is also not very Christian, Doug. You should have thought of that before you fucking decided to touch her titty.
Women, or they'll cut off your hand.
Yeah, exactly. And give the hand to the corpse that came out of the ground a couple of days ago, sew on his hand, and do the same thing with the tanning bed so he has both hands.
Yeah.
Exactly. She's getting more confident. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is that it seems like they're becoming more in love throughout the movie, which is such a weird concept to me.
He's super into her.
Yeah.
He's super into her, and she's like kind of just obsessing over this literary magazine guy.
Yeah.
This artsy fartsy guy. And he's like, why won't you love me, you stupid woman? And so he gets his hand. He plays like...
It takes a while
REO
for her to
Speedwagon.
like really love her. I mean, it takes a while for her to really love him. But like, I feel like throughout the movie, there's like... They become closer and close. Yeah, the chemistry builds.
Well, the song that they play is by REO Speedwagon. And it's, I can't fight this feeling any longer. And so, like, she's singing it in, like, the funniest manner ever. And he's just playing it, like, super into it. He's tearing up. And, of course, his tears are disgusting. And so she has to, like, she's like, oh, you smell like a dumpster at a carnival. You know, and
How many times will it take to electrocute someone before their tears start smelling normal again? This movie did not answer that question.
We actually never find out. But she has to basically rush him back upstairs because then her whole family comes home because her whole family is always hanging out and then she's never included.
How unfortunate.
Her stepmom is gone.
Yeah.
Taffeta comes home and she's like, now Taffeta has, I guess she's super happy because she landed like a special cheer move and she's like, I'm gonna go call my mom because because they don't realize the mom's dead because the mom's supposed to be at a conference or whatever in like Milwaukee.
It's interesting how how only the kid that the stepmom hates would know this and not the one that she loves is hilarious.
Well, Taffeta knows that she's at the conference because she calls the hotel and then and she starts freaking out because the hotel's like, yeah, your mom never checked in. Like she never arrived. And she's like, oh my gosh, my mom has been kidnapped. And then
was it established that she was going to a conference before she got murdered? Okay, that's right.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay. So
she starts freaking out. They're calling the police. It's funny because the dad's just like, he's describing Janet in the most monotone way, and the stepdaughter or the stepsister is like, and her hair is like this really pretty color. When you look at a pretty lab, and it has like hints of red and auburn, and the dad goes, yeah, her hair's brown.
It's like, I get this.
Like she knows like how her mom gets her nails done. Like, yeah, she gets French tips and it's always square cut, and it's the funniest thing. And this man, it's just like, yeah, brown eyes, brown hair, kind of short, I guess, whatever. And it also goes to show
that Taffy paid more attention to Janet than the father.
Janet's husband.
Yeah, the husband. Although it makes sense because Taffy's known her for a lot longer than the husband has.
But this man is married to this woman. He's supposedly in love with her, and like he barely like knows how to describe her. Which honestly, I feel like a lot of men like are kind of that way. No offense to men out there. It's like a woman gets like 2 inches cut off her hair, and all of her female friends notice. But then he's just like,
something's different. I can't tell though.
Is even something different? Like they don't even notice. It's like.
So obviously the cops, obviously the cops show up and they're like, these people are gone. You seem very guilty is a verdict by the courts, but you seem suspicious. You're a suspect,
what happens
Lisa.
Is that the guy she had a crush on, his friend, the girlfriend who actually drugged Lisa in the beginning, reports her as saying, Doug had the locker next to mine. He was going to go meet her. And like, then that's when the girl says, oh yeah, everyone thinks that Lisa killed her own mom, blah, blah, blah. And like, this girl clearly has it out for Lisa because the girl wants to, the girl knows that Lisa likes the guy or whatever. And we see her
teenagers can be
Lisa.
So mean.
Yeah.
So
we
mean.
see her flipping off Lisa throughout the whole movie or whatever. So the cops are basically on to her or whatever. And Lisa's like, damn it, I can't die a virgin. So she basically...
She goes into... so does she go to a party or that guy's house that she has a crush on? Like, she goes into a house and...
Yeah. She goes to his house.
Yeah, his house. So he goes to his house... freaking uninvited.
The creature's all pissed off. He's like, don't do this. Don't fuck him. I love you. He can't say it because he's like, he can't talk.
Right. What's hilarious though is like while she's walking upstairs and like about to go into his room, she hears talking. It's like, oh no, he's with another woman, and he opens the door and it's freaking Taffy's there. And I'm like, oh my goodness! And she's like, ah! And then the creature comes and just like chops
off his penis.
Like, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so brutal.
And Taffy's covered in blood and like pillow feathers screaming. She's like, ah! And Lisa's just like sitting there going, don't. Like, she's like, she doesn't want him to hurt Taffy because technically Taffy did nothing wrong. Like Taffy didn't like. Honestly, Taffy was probably already having sex with this guy even before Lisa moved in and Lisa met him. And I think Taffy pretended not to know the guy to not hurt Lisa's feelings.
There's a lot of signs that that Lisa missed. That the crush was into Taffy, and the crush is like, I'm not into you. And
but you know what sad. Though? I love the monologue that Lisa gives where she goes, you want to be the guy that's into all cool stuff, but you don't want the girl that you're into to be into cool stuff. And that's like totally not cool because that tends to be like a thing where there are men out there, they want to be into the cool artsy stuff, but they don't want the girl that they're dating to be into the cool artsy stuff because they don't want to date girls who are more intelligent or as intelligent as them. Which, honestly, this guy kind of did give off that vibe because, think about it. He's got this friend who's clearly into him, too, who doesn't like Lisa, and he doesn't like her. He's not into her. He wants a girl that he can, like, make himself seem way more intelligent and way more, like, deep than he actually is. Because if he's dating, like, Lisa, they're going to be talking about the same things over and over and over again. Whereas with Taffy, he's like, yeah, this one movie is really obscure. I like this one artsy-fartsy band. And Taffy can just be like, wow, you're so smart and intelligent, you know? So Lisa kind of does make a point when she points that out. Like, you don't want to be, like, you don't want to date someone who's into the same stuff. You just want to seem like you're the cool guy.
I wouldn't date somebody who isn't into the same stuff as me. So I guess I don't understand the male perspective there.
I mean, not all guys do that for sure, but like definitely his character.
Yeah,
I think Lisa
the types
had
of
it
guys
right.
to
like,
do that.
She's like, you're trying to seem like the cool, down to earth guy when you're really not. You know?
Right. And the freaking creature is like, oh, there's a witness. I'm about to get you, Taffy. And Lisa's like, no, stop that.
Don't hurt her. And then they drive off.
Yeah, Lisa gives her a piece of her mother's jewelry and is like,
she gives
here
her
you go.
mom's rosary that she had actually that she left on the creature's tombstone, and the creature brought back to her to prove to her that he knew who she was. But she gives that rosary to Taffy.
And then just like goes and follows the creature after that.
But I really like that moment because she's like, I'm really sorry that I never liked you or treated you well. I always assumed that you were just like your mom, and the truth is you actually did try to
It is really good character development. Like, I do like how Lisa acknowledges that Taffy was there for her, and Lisa was treating Taffy poorly because of Lisa's hate for Taffy's mom. And like, there was a little bit of a guilt by association there, but towards the end, she's like, no.
Friends weren't very accepting of her. Like, if you notice, like, when Taffy's like, can somebody drive Lisa home? And they're all like, no thanks. Yeah. And Lisa's like, it's okay, I can walk home. Like, she knows well aware that Taffy's friends don't like her.
What's fun is they go to the cemetery and then they're like, oh my goodness, we're in love with each other. And then she's like,
you cut it off for me?
That's so romantic. I'm like, oh my god.
You cut his dick off for me?
Oh my god.
But it was funny though, like, she's like, make love to me. Make love to me. And he goes, no, like he takes her hand and like puts it down there. And he's like, I've got nothing. I'm sorry.
It makes me wonder, what type of accident did this guy go through before dying?
Well, no,
that
he
his
got hit
ear,
by
that his
lightning.
hand, and his penis are cut off.
Well, no, the intro of the movie shows how he died, how he was in love with someone else, and then she didn't like she left him for someone else, and he was all sad and mopey. And when he was all sad and mopey, he got hit by lightning, and that's how he died.
And that removes your ear, your hand, and your penis?
I'm sure, like, it's been 100 years or so. So, you know, worms and bugs get in there and eat certain things that are meaty. So they ate his hand, they ate his ear, and they ate his thingamajig. So...
All right. Those are very specific things for a worm to eat. What's funny, though, is a cop comes out and is like, freeze! We got you! And then
the creature
they just push him into a hole. They're like,
no, the creature picks her up and then drops her in.
Yeah. What? Pow! Just like that.
And then they go run off to have sex, and she, like, sews his dick on, and there's this beautiful moment where they're having... Oh, sorry, she sews his dick on. She blasts him in the...
Tanning bed.
Yeah. I mean the word for it. And then they have sex, and then you hear sirens, you know, wee-oo, 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 and she's like, it's time to let me go. So he puts her in the tanning bed,
and
puts it on full
up to
power,
max.
And then she burns her alive.
But what's interesting, what I like about the tanning bed dynamic, and this took a little bit of thinking, because initially I was like confused, is like, wait, it can also kill you and bring you back to life? And I'm like, okay, yes, that's actually the function. It can kill you and then bring her back to life past death.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened with the creature. So everybody's going to think that she's dead, but she can have a merry life.
Back to life. What I didn't think was going to happen was that the very last scene, he's going to be reading her poetry. So now that, I guess he's zapped himself in the tanning bed so many times, he can talk again or whatever. He still has his tongue or whatever. So, and she's laying there covered in bandages, like in the Bride of Frankenstein movie. She's covered in bandages. However, I will say, I think it's funny because I feel like burning her alive was a slight ode to the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein movie. I don't know if it's like the late 90s it was made, because Helena Bonham Carter, she ends up getting burned alive.
Also in the original Frankenstein movie, the Frankenstein's monster gets burned in the windmill as well.
Yes.
So there's that. There's some homages there.
There's homages to the original book as well. When she, you know, brings out her little Buzz friend, she goes, yeah, my Aunt Mary gave it to me. And that is an ode to Mary Shelley.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. A lot of Frankenstein-themed Easter eggs. Again, they make a lot of Rocky Horror Picture Show jokes with the fact that her stepmom's named Janet.
I didn't get all the references just because I haven't seen Rocky Picture Horror Show. And I didn't know there was references to that until he mentioned it. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
I think they tried to throw in as many, like, Frankenstein movie references as much as possible. Yeah. They paid ode to the book. They paid ode to the original I think it was 1939. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it was around there. I'm not exactly sure what year.
It was late 30s.
Yeah, it was in the 30s at least.
Movies. They made ode to the 90s. I mean, they really, like, played into it. They even made, like, a reference to Frankenhooker at one point as well.
So what did you feel leaving this movie for the first time and also the other times?
I kind of knew I was going to love this movie. I actually wore this outfit to the premiere of, like, the movie because I watched the trailer and I was like, I'm going to make that. And so I made it. I didn't have the wig at the time. My wig I was going to wear tonight, but it's completely thrashed from just being in a box for so long. But, like, I put, like, a big old 80s bow in my hair, and I even, like, where's my axe? I have it right here. I brought my axe, and, like, I just knew that I was going to love this movie. And I did. I really did, because I've always loved 80s culture. I've always loved horror. I've always loved the culture around Frankenstein. And when I walked out of it, it was better than I expected. It was so well done. I'm usually very picky about movies. I look at things like cinematography, plot, character development. Costuming is a huge one as a cosplayer for me. When I watch a movie that takes place in the 80s specifically, my biggest qualm is when everybody is just in neon colored sportswear. And it's like, yeah, that was kind of
you could just buy that from Spirit Halloween. That's what they think is the 80s. Yeah.
Exactly. And so like I think this movie really played homage to like all of the different types of clothing you would have seen in the 80s, the different types of home decor, so many pop culture references that fit so perfectly. They really did their research on what life was like in 1989. I'm sure like they lived through it, you know. And for Zelda Williams' debut, like directorial debut, she did a fantastic job. And I kind of also know I was going to love this movie because it is Diablo Cody who did write Jennifer's Body, which is another one of my favorite movies. It's another 10 out of 10 for me.
I definitely have to watch that. Yeah.
You haven't seen Jennifer's Body?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you would love that movie. I just did a photo shoot. It just turned 15 years old this year. And so I really want to update a lot of my Jennifer Body stuff. I posted a lot of Jennifer Body this past week because of it.
You know, I like this movie after like you know, when I was watching this movie, I was like, this is insane. It's very focused on what I think is the women fantasy of like having a guy just be there and listen to you talk without talking. Also a guy to just like be there loving you unconditionally, loving you first, and then you being there to reciprocate his love later, but having the freedom to oh my goodness.
It's definitely, I never thought about it that way. I honestly was mostly thinking about the aesthetic and like the script writing and the attention to detail in the world around it. But yeah, I never thought of it that way. Like, it's so true. It's so true.
What's fun is like when the guy, when the creature, when he's learning to drive, he doesn't know how to drive. Well, he does know how to drive, but he drives so slow, and he drives Lisa to.
How does he know how to drive?
That was not really explained.
Wait, I just realized this. If he's from like 1880 something, how does he know how to drive a car?
It doesn't really show her explaining it to him. It explains the speed that he's going because of horse-drawn carriage. That's the speed that you're going. But he drives to her crush's house to try to facilitate her having sex with him, which is hilarious, but also definite woman fantasy. No guy in actuality would want to do that. So I think this movie really encapsulates the woman fantasy, and with also the aesthetics too. Very aesthetically pleasing. You got great colors, a very nice room. Like, I feel like if I would have wanted that, I would have wanted that room if I was a teenager. Maybe colored. Absolutely. The walls probably not pink, probably like a gray blue.
Well, chances are, like, her walls were pink because Janet had that room painted pink.
And also, the entire house is so weird and pink, and it's like, oh, this is definitely Janet's decision. It seemed like with the dialogue, they all moved into Janet's house.
Yeah. I mean, the dad is just so doesn't care, like, kind of just, like, he's kind of just there. Again, like, when they think that Lisa is dead, they go to her gravestone, and I think it's funny that Taffy notices on the gravestone that says "beloved wife," and she's just kind of like, "What the hell?" You know,
she was never married.
Yeah, but the dad doesn't even notice that it says "beloved wife" on his daughter's gravestone. He's
also,
like,
who chose the gravestone? Who put those words there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was the dad not part of that decision-making process? The dad just goes, yeah, let's go put some flowers by your mom's grave now, and then later get some Fuddruckers. Like, he's so, like, trying to make everything okay all the time at moments where, like, it doesn't need to be okay. And that really kind of reminds me of my dad. Like, my dad is definitely, like, I love my father. He's an amazing man, but he's definitely someone who was meant to be a fun uncle. Because he's just like, we have to go, you know, everything's fine. Let's just go get some ice cream. No need to worry. Like, that's just
that makes
sense. My dad, for sure. So it was funny to watch that dynamic. I'm like, are most dads like this where they don't really handle emotional issues at all? Or like,
I feel like
that's the case for all dads.
I feel like the need to connect with yourself emotionally isn't as encouraged in society as a man as it is a woman. I feel so. Like, my dad's also like that. He doesn't know how to handle his own emotions. I mean, like, he does check out, but he's also like, oh, I'm cool. But then he would also be the type to just, if he had a stressful day, just pick something that I'm doing and just build himself up to a yelling state. And then, it just...
My dad never yelled. I think he avoided any sort of conflict, which is kind of like what this dad did. Like, avoided all conflict, avoided anything that was, like, stressful. I'm not going to get involved. I'm just going to offer, like, let's go to ice cream or go bowling. Yeah. Guys, everything's wonderful. Everything's fine.
Do you got any final last thoughts on this movie, and what would you rate it?
I'm very biased with this movie. I rarely give out 10 out of 10s, but I love it so much. And for those people, like, it does play into the female fantasy for sure, which I didn't realize until you brought it up, actually. But I will say that any gender could watch this film, anyone of any age, especially if you love the 80s, especially if you love, like, just 80s camp. The reason I love this movie so much is because I like going to see a movie and not feeling like I walked out watching a lecture, which is a huge issue in Hollywood lately, where you go to see a movie and it feels like you just went to a college lecture. You weren't entertained. It was just like someone was yelling some sort of political ideology at you, whereas this movie is just straightforward, campy, fun, and that's why I feel like a lot of movies are missing lately. It really felt like I was watching a movie from the 80s, because in the 80s, we had things like Jaws and Back to the Future. Jurassic Park is 90s, but, like, I'm just listing Steven Spielberg movies at this point. E.T. But it was just fun movies. They don't feel like you're watching something. I mean, obviously, like, a lot of these movies like E.T. and Back to the Future are going to have political underlying themes, but they do it in such a soft manner. You're still entertained. It's not being shoved down your throat. And Lisa is just good, campy fun, which is something I feel like movies have been missing for a long time.
Who would you say you related to more when growing up? Lisa, Taffy, or the other people?
I feel like I relate a lot to Lisa, honestly.
Me too.
Just because I was definitely the weird kid. I was very much into horror movies and goth music, and like that whole bedroom with like all of the movie posters surrounding the walls was definitely me growing up as a kid. I was definitely not popular. My best friend actually was a varsity cheerleader, and she was often asked, like, why are you hanging out with this weirdo? Like, what's, like, like, this is just so strange. And so I definitely related to Lisa. I think I handle things a little differently than Lisa. I also had like a really just awful, not like stepmom, but like my dad had a girlfriend who lived with us she was really verbally and emotionally abusive. And so I definitely took that in a lot with growing. And so Lisa's definitely a relatable character for me, which is also another reason why I probably love this movie so much. Okay. But I also relate a little bit to maybe like the creature in a way, just because I feel like he's kind of overlooked a lot, and he's not really paid attention to until like he's like, I have to literally cut some dude's penis off to get your attention. Like, I can definitely understand, like,
Lisa's also hiding him the entire time. So there is that. I think that moment is when Lisa shows the creature to anyone other than her for the first time in the movie. Yeah. She is intentionally trying to hide him.
No one ever actually sees the creature. I mean, Doug sees the creature before he dies, but like,
he's dead.
No one sees the creature and lives to tell the tale except for Taffeta.
Yeah, that's true. And then I liked this movie. I feel like what is it, a comedy romance? Personally, I'm not like huge into the genre, but I do like this movie because it's insane. It goes to an insane place.
For me, it plays into like the spooky horror genre that's not like too horror. Like, like Death Becomes Her or Beetlejuice. It kind of plays into that like dark humor I guess.
Yeah.
It's not, like, scary, like,
right.
murderers and, like, things like, like, slashers and things, which I do love. I do love the slasher genre. I do love psychological thrillers like Alfred Hitchcock films. But I also really love just my dark comedy, spooky type movies. So, like, Lisa, Beetlejuice, Death Becomes Her. I'm actually what I'm named after. This is where my mom got my name. So, like, that's definitely, like, one of my favorite genre, honestly.
Okay. I think I would rate this. For me, it's a solid 7 out of 10.
What do you think could have been better?
Honestly, what I think could have been better is some more things explained, or some insert shots of her teaching him how to use the car, or like, I felt like it was heavily focused.
How her dad met Janet.
Yeah, I want to know more about the backstory. I felt like,
was there an affair? Like, because like the way that Taffeta explains it, she's just like, yeah, I mean, like, Dale was like sad for 3 months, and then he met my mom. And then they got married immediately. I'm like, they got married immediately?
Ugh.
That's a little
terrible.
Odd.
But
that's
also, like,
strange.
Yeah, I think I would also give it a 7 because during watching it, I was kind of like, this is weird and bizarre. But, like, towards the end, I'm like, okay, this has grown on me. So, would I watch this again? Probably. But this is a fun film. If you want fun film and if you want morbid comedy, I think this is the film for you, for sure.
If you like Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, Jennifer's Body, you're especially if you like Jennifer's Body, you will love Lisa Frankenstein. Keanu, who's often on Simpcast, one of her favorite movies is Jennifer's Body. I'm like, girl, how have you not seen Lisa Frankenstein? You would freaking love this movie.
Yes,
like, it really I love it because I like things that are bizarre and strange. And honestly, Mint, I really hope you do a Jennifer's Body review soon, because that movie is even wilder than this one.
Ooh, all right. Yeah. I'm very excited. And with that, plug your stuff plugging.
So you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at the Ashton Blaise, and from there I post a lot of my links for my YouTube channel as well as my spicy link. So yeah.
All right. Y'all know where to find me. If you like this review, watch another one. The platform really likes that $20 deals for one movie review per 1 month. And go to autisticboobs.com. Support the daily grindiness of all them daily movie reviews. And until next time, I'm in Salad Saw. I'll see you later, my sour croutons and bacon bits. Whoop-ow.